Good evening and welcome to Varsity Maine Live. Thank you for joining us after we've been away for a few weeks. For the Portland Press Herald, I'm Travis Lazarzik. Tonight I am joined by three colleagues from around the Maine Today media family. I'm joined by Michael Lowe, my colleague from the Press Herald, Adam Robinson from the Sun Journal, and from the Kennebec Journal and Morning Sentinel, Drew Bonifant. We're going to focus mostly on basketball tonight just because it's the most popular winter sport in Maine. Rest assured, fans of the other sports, we will get to you in the coming weeks. But right now, let's start with what might be the biggest story so far. Drew, Cooper and Ace Flagg, the twin sensations coming out of Newport and Nokomis High School, freshmen up there. We haven't seen a buzz about a freshman basketball player like this maybe since TJ Cowett at Winthrop a generation ago. What can you tell us about the Flagg boys?
You said since TJ Cowett, and if you ask Andy Bedard, who was also a player who came through with a good amount of hype when he arrived, we've never seen something like this, where it's somebody who, before he's even played a high school game, is generating national recruiting interest. I'm talking about Cooper now. Those two players have been kind of the talk of certainly this area in basketball since before they even arrived at Nokomis. Cooper, I think, is 6'7" and just has a complete game. He's somebody who can be a terror in transition and make all the plays around the basket. He's got a good shot. His coach Earl Anderson was talking about how he just sees the court, has a feel for the game that's unlike anything he's ever seen. And I'm working on a story that's going to be coming out this weekend, looking at Cooper compared to other people who have come through with a good amount of hype too. And he's definitely at the head of that in terms of TJ Cowett's coach actually put it in an interesting way. He said Cowett and Bedard were the talk of the state, but Cooper is the talk of the country in a way, in terms of generating that national interest already. It's going to be something to watch when he makes his debut.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading your story over the weekend. A lot of us have seen that video of Cooper Flagg grabbing the defensive rebound, going coast to coast, and then finishing the one-man show with the slam dunk. Adam, you were lucky enough to see the Flaggs play at South Portland last weekend, who have their own great player in his own right, J.P. Estrella. What did you come away with seeing those three players live?
Well, it was billed as Cooper Flagg and J.P. Estrella going head to head, and it really was just that. But Cooper showed that he's the best player in Maine. He's only 14, yeah, like you said, 6'8". Can make every pass, full court, in transition. People have really good highlight videos of him already in preseason, just making no-look passes in transition. It's unbelievable. The game comes to him so easily. His shots are really pure. I have videos of him going baseline with a reverse dunk over J.P. Estrella and another defender. I have a video of him going and getting a chase down block on Jalen Jackson, South Portland's point guard, who is one of the best guards in the state, to save the game and send it to overtime. There was about 3 seconds left on that block. It's just the feel for the game is unmatched. He's everything you think he is. I mean, I was kind of skeptical, like, hey, how good is this kid from Maine? And he's everything. I mean, the top 15, top 10, I think one place has him fifth in his class nationally. I think it's all correct hype, and I'm just glad that he's here for a year here to play with his senior brother and Ace, his twin brother, on a team for a year at Nokomis. I'm really glad that Mainers get to see him and up north there, and then hopefully in the tournament here.
Yeah,
are you saying he's leaving after a year?
I think that's kind of the idea. Andy Bedard is his AAU coach, and his son plays down in Florida, so there's been rumors of going to play there or IMG Academy or just different places, but I'm not sure. I haven't talked to Cooper about that. And same thing with JP Estrella. He might be out after this year and go play at I've heard Brewster or some other places. So I'm glad that we get a year of him here, and I would go catch him when you can because he's must watch.
Yeah. Mike, plenty of girls basketball players who are garnering some attention this year as well. Tell us about some of them.
Well, Maine has produced an awful lot of Division I girls basketball talent. Obviously we have Mackenzie Holmes, who, is on pace. She could be the greatest basketball player in Maine female history, other than Cindy Blodgett. You put the two of them. Yes, other than Cindy Blodgett, the two of them will be at the top. But she's a completely different type of player than Cindy Blodgett. You've got Sarah Marsh, who went to Boston College. She was one of the early ones, and just the list goes on. But there's certainly a group this year, and there's some really great young players like Maddie Fitzpatrick, the sophomore at Cheverus. I mean, she is probably a top 5 player in the state right now. She can do just about anything you ask her to do. She's going to be the point guard, but she's also capable of going down low. Again, no look passes, hitting the 3-pointer, driving to the basket, playing great defense. She pretty much does it all. There's Grace Ramsdale at Wells is another one who's going to play at Merrimack. I mean, she is, somewhere around 5'11", 5'10", and she goes on and she hits 3-pointers all day. She's always been the tallest girl on her team, and she's always played inside. But this year, she's going to be showing what you can do on the outside, because that's where she's going to be playing in college. You've got Sarah Talon, who is going to go to University of Maine and play for Amy Vachon up there. I mean, another one, she is one of those athletic kids who just has this drive, and that's the best part of her game, is she's most dangerous in the open court. You give her a step and she's going to blow past you and make you pay. It's we're seeing a really I don't want to call it a golden era, but certainly there is more great girls basketball talent in this state than there's been in a long time. And we saw it, the Breen girl, Bailey Breen, at the Oceanside. She's a freshman, 6'2". She's reportedly been offered a scholarship from Amy at UMaine, and of course she can't do anything with that right now, but it's always good. It's like JP Estrella going to Syracuse and getting an offer from Jim Boeheim there as a sophomore. I mean, you just sit on it and say, wow, where is this going to lead me?
It's nice to have options. Drew, in Class A North, there's 3 girls. 2 we know are going to Division I, and a third that we're just waiting to hear where she's going to go, but it's going to be Division I. Tell us about that strong trio.
Yep, one of them is JC Christopher, who committed to BU before the season started, and she's been, she was a player right from her freshman year, a player to watch. But her sophomore year, she really emerged as maybe the best overall player in the KVAC A North. I could have said Bailey Donovan, players like that were in the mix, but she was certainly in that conversation, and she's just gotten better. And she's just a dominant player. Every time Skowhegan plays teams, they commit their defense to stopping her. She can score outside, she can score inside. She's a tenacious rebounder, and she just has everything going in that regard. And the other person who's committed to D1 in the Central Maine area is India Clark, who is a transfer from Palmer High School in Alaska, where she was a 4A first team all selection, which is their biggest class. So that's the equivalent of being a Class AA, first team pick here. So she's going to be somebody who's really going to have an impact on this season, playing for Coney, a team that's really kind of been eager to rise back up in the Class A rankings after being down the last few years. And then the other player who might be on what might be the best team in the region is Lizzie Gruber, a junior. So hasn't committed anywhere yet, but it is certainly going to have Division I offers to her, coming towards her if she isn't already. And it's going to be really an interesting dynamic to watch that sort out in Class A, because those are really good players on really good teams, and it's going to be interesting to watch those matchups and watch that kind of sort itself out down the road.
Yeah. One thing that those Class A North girls teams don't have to worry about now is Hamden, because Hamden and the Broncos have gotten moved up by like 1 or 2 students past the cutoff to AA. How do you guys feel like Hamden will do, girls and boys, as they embark into a new division? They've been perennial state championship contenders in A. How are they going to do in Double A?
The girls should be pretty good. I mean, they I think they have 4 starters back from the team they had last year. I think they went 9-2 last year, I believe, and some of those girls played the year before when they got to the state championship game. I think the girls will be very competitive. I think that Class AA North might be the most competitive region in girls basketball. Although Class B South is pretty crazy this year too, with all the teams that moved in. But I think Hamden's going to do well on the girls' side.
Adam, talk about that Double A North when you got a 2-time state champion Oxford Hills. Are they still the team to beat?
They're up there. I just wrote a story on Sierra Carson, a junior who her first 2 seasons, she tore both her meniscuses, one meniscus one year and then the other the next. So this is kind of hopefully her first full year. She played about 6 games her freshman year, but she's a guard from the Carson family. If you follow Oxford Hills athletics, Colton Carson, the quarterback and forward and pitcher, went to Maine to pitch. And then Brooke Carson was also on that 2019 Oxford Hills team that won the state title, like we mentioned. Sierra Carson's going to be the lead playmaker on that team. Brooklyn Alexander's a really good defender and rebounder, and she'll do some things for Oxford Hills. But they don't have a lot of size. They have Ella Pelletier coming in, a freshman, who is some of their biggest size. They're going to be a kind of a smaller team, but Oxford Hills knows how to win without a whole lot of size. And then the team to watch, I think, in AA North is this Lewiston team, coached by Craig Gibson. It's his second year. He used to coach Edward Little. His first big full season with this team, and they have a really good sophomore class. Natalie Bowden is a guard to watch, has a lot of really big potential. So I think it's Lewiston and Oxford Hills in the Sun Journal area for teams to watch. And I don't really know too much about what Edward Little will look like, but they're usually right in the mix there too. So they should give some teams some problems. I'm going to see them actually tomorrow night, Oxford Hills and Edward Little girls, and then Oxford Hills, Edward Little boys right after that at Oxford Hills. So I'm excited for the season to get started here.
Yeah, I'll be at Chevers tomorrow night.
Chevers earlier. Are they the Double A team to beat for girls?
I think so. I do. They can put 4 6-footers or girls who are near 6 foot on the court at the same time, and they're all athletic. They're all good athletes. They can run. They can. If you want to play a half court game, they'll put the big girls out there. If you want to run, they're going to put the smaller kids out there and run you. And they're all very talented kids. Bill Goodman, he had a great run at Macaulay. He's landed at Chevers, and it's the same situation. He's got some athletes there, and they're really going to push the tempo. And I think Bangor, tomorrow night, Bangor is at Chevers. I'm going to be covering that game, and Bangor is going to be very good as well. I mean, they're coming on. That's why I think you've got at least 4 teams up there that could do really well. Portland's not going to be as bad as people think they are, even though they lost 2 of the best players in the state to graduation last year. They're going to be pretty good, and Wyndham's going to be pretty good with Talon, and she's going to carry that team at times. And if they find someone to complement her scoring, they're going to be really tough. It's just going to be a crazy region to watch.
Drew, Class A North boys. Obviously, Nokomis has to be considered a contender, if not the outright favorite. Who's going to challenge them? Is this Skowhegan team we've been hearing about for a couple of years going to be up in that mix?
Yeah, I think the teams that you're looking at being the best bets to challenge Nokomis for that title are Brewer, which has 4 starters back, and Skowhegan, which has 4 starters back as well, and Adam Savage, Colin LePage, Kyle LePage, and Levi Obert. And they just have so much height to their advantage. I mean, all the Savage and the 2 LePages are all over 6'5". And they went to the Central Maine tournament that they had in lieu of a state tournament last year. They went to the final and lost to Marana Cook. And I mean, they're just going to be that much better, having had a year under their belt, and another year of learning to play together and everything. That's going to be a really tough defensive oriented team. That's going to throw at a lot of teams, something that they just don't see. That ability to go that tall and that deep. So those are the big 3 at the top, and then you have some other contenders on the outside. Coney, which shoots the ball really, really well. Doesn't have a lot of size, so they might have a tough time in that regard. But they're going to be a contender. Gardner could have should have an improved team this year. Camden Hills is going to be solid. Those are the teams, but it's Brewer, Skowhegan, and Nokomis are looking like the three favorites to be the teams that make the most noise.
Now, Drew, the Central Maine papers are coming out with their preview section tomorrow, right?
That's right. It's coming out tomorrow. It looks at all the sports, not just basketball like we're talking about here, but hockey and wrestling and indoor track and swimming and skiing and taking a look at both the players and the teams to watch, but also kind of storylines that are going to be themes of this season. So it's definitely something to check out.
You guys do a great job with that. I know because I used to help do it. Adam, AA. Let's circle back to AA North boys. Is EL the team to beat again? Mike Adams has just built a team that year in, year out is a contender.
Yeah, they've got another shot, I think, in AA North with John Shea, their center. If he plays aggressively, he's as good as any big in the conference. There he is on your screen here. He's really strong down low. He's tough, can rebound really well. He can shoot even a little bit more now as he's come along. And if he plays with force and aggressiveness, when he's on, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Lewiston will have a fun team. They had a good battle with Brewer, like Drew mentioned. They have a couple guards, David Amasambo and Yusuf. They should be a fun team to watch. They're kind of young, and Oxford Hills too. Tomorrow they will face off EL, and I think they kind of mirror EL pretty well. They have Tegan Pelletier, sophomore, kind of good size as a forward. He can shoot. Colby Dillingham, he's like a 6'10" center who can do a whole lot of things down low. And then they have Cole Pulkinen and Eli Soren as guards who can slash to the hole and score in a whole lot of different ways. So I think Oxford Hills boys will be a fun team to watch too, but I think it's Edward Little's. If I were to put a ranking, I think it would be EL at the top.
And in the Class AA South, it looks like South Portland's the team to beat.
I would imagine they get they get kids back. I mean, and obviously when you start with a 6, what is he? What is Estrella? 6'11", 6'10". I mean, you got a kid like him and Jackson at the guard. I mean, two players can carry a team a long way in Maine high school basketball often.
Definitely.
Yeah, they're really strong. JP's, I think, 6'10", and Jalen Jackson can do a whole lot of really good things with the ball. He can get to the hole. He can shoot pretty well. If he makes good decisions, he's got a whole lot of shooters around him too. And then on defense, they swarm. They're right in your face. It seems like everybody's double teamed at all times. I think they'll be the team to beat in AA South and probably Class AA.
Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned, Estrella's 6'10", and you mentioned the kid at Oxford Hills. He's 6'10" as well, and
yep.
Shea is 6'6", and Steve Craig we have our boys basketball preview section coming out tomorrow, and Steve Craig's got a story about this. This is an era of the big men in Maine high school basketball, which we've never seen before. I mean, so I've been here almost 40 years, guys. And when I came in, if you had a guy who was 6'4", 6'5", he was going to be the big guy. He was going to play with his back to the basket, and he was going to plod up and down the court, and that would be it. Now, there's they're everywhere. And if you're 6'6" now, you're almost too small to be a big guy in the state.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
I would have been a 5'9" power forward back in the day. That's what you're saying, Mike. Yeah.
You would have.
Let's go on to Class B. Mike, last time we had state championships, the Wells girls took that Class B title 2 years ago. Are they looking like a contender again?
They're really, really good. You start with Grace Ramsdale. I mean, she's going to carry them. And then Grace Boucher is their returning point guard from that team as well. The starting point guard. She started as a sophomore, and they're back. And they have 5 other players who played some that year for them. So they've got a lot of experience. I think they're certainly the best Class B team down in this area. Although I got to tell you, Class B South, you had York move down from Class A South, and they're always they've got 4 starters back. They're going to be really loaded. You've got Yarmouth, which is going to be they're incredibly athletic. They've got 3 really core players back, led by the Dapolonia girl. And then you've got Oceanside, which moved down from the north to the south, and then you've got Madomic Valley, which moved from Class A North to Class B South. They're going to be pretty good. This is going to be a load. Levitt moved to Class B South this year, and they're always pretty competitive. That's going to be come tournament time. That's going to be an interesting race to watch.
Drew, who looks good in B North on the girls' side?
B North, it's good. It's gonna be interesting to see what Waterville has this year with a new coach in place. And I mean, they only have 10 girls in the roster, so it's gonna be a very small group. And that was a team that was as consistent as any in B North the last few years. They went to the regional final the last 2 times it was held. They got a really good point guard in Kara Gilman, but we'll need to see the rest of the team. Players like senior forward Gabby Maines will be stepping into a starting role after being reserved the last few years. So, it'll be interesting to see how that starts to click as the season goes on. And Winslow is a team that had to kind of rebuild last season with not a lot of returning players. So it remains to be seen just what they have and just kind of the kind of season they'll be able to put forward this year.
Okay, and I'll go back to you, Drew. Class B boys, we had that one of the best state champion games of all time with Marana Cook and Caribou a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, it looks like Marana Cook graduated a lot of that talent.
Yep.
What are you hearing about how the Black Bears are going to reload?
Yeah, they lost 6 of their top 7 players. Tyler Reben is their most experienced player coming back, and guys like Chris Reed and Braden St. Pierre are going to need to step into bigger roles and help that team go. Travis Magnuson, their coach, is actually kind of excited about what they have. I mean, he's not diminishing what they lost. I mean, how could you? They lost Mr. Maine basketball winner and just a whole bunch of other talented players around him, but he likes this team's ability to score, and he likes the depth that they have. He says the key is going to be defense. The way he put it was, we can't just play good defense. We have to play the best defense in Class B South if we're going to be a team that can go on a run. So a lot of work that Marana Cook needs to put in order to go back to being a major contender. But he says they have the talent and they have the pieces to be a team worth watching.
Adam, Class C South boys, Winthrop's kind of had a stranglehold on that in the last few years. The Mountain Valley Conference in general has been strong in the South. Is it still look like that, or are we going to see some teams from maybe the other leagues competitive this year?
Well, I think it will be. Winthrop is up there in your Class C South boys rankings, but the MVC is going to be a whole lot of fun. I just did a story on Spruce Mountain boys and their team and how they want to push the pace and press you and turn you over and then get out in transition. And they'll be strong. Winthrop again will be strong. St. Dom's boys, Josh Laprel's the coach. He's looking for a breakout year. I don't know if it's their apex yet, but that's a team on the rise. So I think, yeah, if you're picking a boys team, I think it's Winthrop. They just keep reloading. Maybe not as strong as their state championship team from a couple years ago, but they will be up there and near the end of the playoffs. I would think.
Winthrop's kind of that team.
Go ahead, Drew.
I was going to say Winthrop's kind of that team where it's like, until they have a down season, I'm not going to believe that they're going to have a down. It seems like every year it's always, how are they going to replace Cam Wood? How are they going to replace Jacob Hickey? How are they going to replace? And then they just go 17-1 and are a top 3 seed in Class C. So I mean, they have a great coach in Todd McCarthy. He always gets the most out of that team, and there's no reason to think that he's not going to turn them into a team that's making noise again by the end of the year.
Yeah, I saw them in the you talked about the Central Maine tournaments last year with Marana Cook winning the large school division. I saw Winthrop beat Madison in the small school division down double digits with like 4 minutes to go and then score the last 20 points of the game just because they're so competitive and determined to win a little regional title because that was what was on the table last year. So
Yep.
I would never count Todd MacArthur and Winthrop out. In C South, Mike, Winthrop, Boothbay, the MVC has been kind of the teams lately, but this OOB team looks like it might make a run.
OOB is going to be an intriguing team. They're not going to worry about an inside game. They're just going to run you, and they're going to shoot threes, and if you can keep up with them, that's fine. They're going to put up a lot of shots. They're going to be fun to watch, unless you're actually trying to score the game and keep track of it, and then it's going to be a pain. But no, they'll be fun, and I'll tell you what, NYA is going to be pretty good too. They've been good the last couple of years. They got to the semifinals one year and quarterfinals the last time around, and they got some transfers in. That are going to be help them out. I think those will be the two best teams in the South in Class B. Boothbay is not going to, they graduated pretty much everyone from their team last year, and I think they're not going to be a contender as they were. But this is still, it's always an MVC team's going to win this. I think it just comes down to they play such a great regular season schedule against each other that they prepare themselves for the tournament.
Who's going to be that MVC team, Drew or Adam?
For Class C boys,
Class C girls.
Oh, for girls, Halldale is a really good bet to go deep. I mean, they bring back a bunch of starters: Iris Ireland, KJ Greenhall, Amanda Trepanier. I mean, it goes KK Wills. That's the player I was trying to think of. I mean, just go down the line. There are a lot of players who played big minutes for them last year who are back, and so they have a new coach as well. So that'll be interesting to see how that works out. But that's a team that has a lot of talent on the court, and they're going to be tough to beat. They won that Central Maine tournament last year for the small school class, so it's clearly a team that's been on the rise the last couple of seasons.
Drew, I can't tell you how impressed I am that you're just pulling these names out like that. I mean, I've got notes all here.
You don't
I've got
see the
notes
whiteboard that's hanging in his living room.
I got like, okay, here. Look, see, I got this here. I'm trying to read this stuff. Talk to you guys. Yeah.
Drew, real quick, let's go to Class D. Forest Hills was a juggernaut when we did this a couple of years ago. But Parker Desjardins, the 2,000-point scorer, is gone. What are they doing reloading up there in northern Somerset County?
Yeah, it's tough to reload in Class D with there's just not a big pool of players to be coming from. And Parker was such a made such a difference. I mean, they were the favorite against every team that they played because nobody had a player like that. They still have some talent though. Mason Desjardins started to emerge as a player, and Parker's brother started to emerge as a player who was maybe not quite the scorer that Parker is, but somebody who could still go for 20 in a night if the defense was really opening things up for him by focusing too much on Parker. And they've always had players who kind of maybe aren't big time scorers, but can grab 6, 8, 10 points and a few rebounds. A player like Jack Mandagel stands out like that. And so it's not quite the just pencil them in to go 18-0 like it was last year with Parker back, but being Class D and those being players who were part of championship winning teams before, I would think that they're still the favorite in Class D, but we'll see.
Mike, how about Class D girls? Do you have any insight there?
I have none. I'm going to admit that I have none. It's just we don't have many Class D schools down in the southern section. We got Seacoast Christian and Greater Portland Christian, and I think Seacoast will be an interesting team. Their coach is also the boys' coach, Lee Petrie, so he splits duties. But I think they have the potential to be pretty good. Other than that, I couldn't tell you. I'm sorry.
Last time we had a championship 2 years ago, Greenville girls took Class D. Adam, you have any insight on Class D? Have you seen or heard about anything from Rangeley, for instance?
Yeah, I can just tell you about Rangeley real quick. The boys team didn't play last year and then returns 2 kids and brings in 10 new ones. So I think they have some catching up to do. And Jeff LaRochelle, their coach, admitted that when he talked to me earlier. A couple few days ago. So that's a rebuilding team on the boys' side, and then the girls' team, Brittany Russell, the head coach. That's a program that has done well consistently for a while now. They bring back some scorers in Winnie LaRochelle and Emily Eastlack. They've got some players coming back, and so I think they'll be middle of the pack. I'm really not sure where they stack up, but Brittany Russell is excited about her team and what they can do. She wants to push the pace, so I would expect them in the playoffs because that's usually where Rangeley girls end up.
Sure. I'm excited about the season, fellas. I mean, it's been a while since we got a full season. Looking forward to starting it all tomorrow. Everyone can check out preview sections from all our papers at pressherald.com, centralmaine.com, sunjournal.com. A lot of great stuff out there, not just about basketball, but like all the sports, ice hockey, skiing, swimming, indoor track. Please, do yourself a favor and go check it out, and go check out as many games as you can. That's going to do it this week. We'll be back next week for some more Varsity Maine Live. For Drew, for Adam, for Mike, I'm Travis. Thanks for joining us.